Well, welcome everyone. I'm Steve Savant. We're broadcasting live from the heart of Phoenix, Arizona on KXXT Family Values Radio. And I also want to welcome our online audience on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And I want to give a big shout out to Beyond Fear to Freedom, one of the best Christ-centered fellowships that provide a safe and loving community for women in recovery. Just go out to their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org and check out all their activity. And if you can't go to their Friday night meeting, which I totally recommend, you can join their subscribe tribe and you can go ahead and watch it on video. These guys, I think, are broadcasting live on Facebook on Friday nights. And why do you want to go to Friday nights? Because they have food and fellowship at from 5:30 to 6:15. Childcare is provided, and they have the messaging after that. They usually split the guys and gals up, and they have messages for each one. It's awesome. If you say, Steve, I want to go, just go out to beyondfeartofreedom.org and look up all the information for Friday night or any of their other activities. I also want to give you my email address, steve@180uturn.com. That's 180-180-U-turn, YOUTURN.com. And please feel free to write me again. Keep those theological questions for somebody else. I'm not there on that. And I just also want to say to you that, listen, when you write and you're quoting scriptures, people kind of say, I'm using the New American Standard. I've been asked it for it several times. I'm using the New American Standard. You use an IV, that's fine. KJV, I don't care what you want to do. Do it. It's fine with me, as long as you're obeying it, right? And then, of course, today I want to welcome back Dalla Riva. I thought, I never knew it was two syllables, right? Riva, right? And Jesse's story is unbelievable, and we just did the touch point intro on yesterday's show. If you missed it, I say go back out on YouTube. Remember, we put this out on the line a week after we do it on KXXT, and I want you to watch it in chronology because it makes sense. Welcome back to the show, Jesse.
Thank you.
Jesse, I always love how we throw stones at people. You were talking at the end of yesterday's show, hey, listen, I may smoke Oxy, but I'm not shooting it.
Right.
And how he kind of put people down. Hey, listen, that's junkie activity, right? I am not that far gone, and I never will be that far gone. You didn't think you could make the jump?
Nope. I never thought I would cross over to using heroin and shooting heroin.
Well, my question is that night you crossed over, you went right from smoking to shooting, and what was your experience in your Oxy experience? You said you were hooked immediately.
Yeah, it was the same type of experience. I found out heroin was far cheaper than Oxycodone, much more powerful, and that if you shot it up, it was much more euphoric and enjoyable, and my life started to really go downhill into a dark, deep place after that.
I love the comparison here. I just did this and it was euphoric. I mean, that's a great adjective, right?
Yeah.
It's euphoric, and my euphoric experience led me to go downhill from there. See the contrast here is just oblivious. And I had cataract surgery a year ago, and the guy goes, the anesthesiologist says, we're going to give you something and you'll feel somewhat euphoric. He came back to me 10 minutes later, says, how are you feeling? I said, sir, on the basis of my legal activity with pharmaceuticals, that was not euphoric. So, okay, we all have differences. But when you think about going that way, cheaper, wow.
Yep.
And more accessible, easy to find?
Yeah, easy to find.
Easy to find.
Right down the street from the halfway house I was living at.
Okay, but are you still not awake? Hey, what about these needles? Do I need to bring my own? Are you getting it from somebody else? Are you sharing needles with different guys?
Yeah.
Gals?
I was sharing with people, and all sense of integrity and hygiene disappeared probably at that moment. And I started sharing needles, using needles over and over again.
The same needles? The
same needles, buying them from people that were selling the heroin, which a lot of the time were homeless people that would have this connection to a heroin dealer and would get it for you and then would bring it to you. And sometimes they would have a needle too they would sell you. But it was used a lot of the time.
Did you ever think in your wildest dreams, hey, maybe at least I should boil this maybe?
Sometimes I did. Sometimes I didn't. When you need to get high and you don't have that kind of accessibility to boil water or bleach to put in the needle, then you're going to do it. I progressed to a point where it was so bad that I was using toilet water, canal water, Gatorade, all sorts of terrible things to cook the heroin, and then it went into my arm.
I have to say, I saw one of your before and after pictures, and I might post this out next week, you know, after this clears KXXT's broadcast. And I was like, when you see people day and night, right? I mean, I can't imagine you, Jesse, like that, because you're this person now.
Yeah.
Right? And it's to see the image and the complete walk away from hygiene. I mean, just the basic, you know, I gotta brush my teeth in the morning. You know, I can't even think about, you know, not doing anything. I gotta shower. I gotta, you know, dry my hair. I gotta use all kinds of, you know, things to keep my body going. Vitamins. You know, eat right. What's your diet like during this? Because you gotta buy money. You gotta buy food.
Yeah. So after I started shooting in that heroin house, I was kicked out of there shortly thereafter. I ended up jumping to some other halfway houses, but one of the rules in most of these halfway houses is, even though you could get away with stuff for a little bit, if you go straight heroin junkie, you won't be able to stay there for that long.
No, because are they doing urine analysis?
Yeah, and you have to pay rent at these places, and if you're addicted to heroin, like I was,
who's got money?
You can't work a job.
Who's got money? Yeah.
It all goes to the heroin.
Well, I'm thinking about, you know, if you drop a dirty UA, a urine analysis, or you don't have rent for these halfway houses, or you're going to be gone. Did you ever think at 17, looking into your future, hey, I'm going to be living off the streets in Phoenix?
Nope. I never pictured that. I came from a nice suburb town in West Palm Beach, Florida, and when I came to Phoenix, it was a whole different culture and atmosphere. Heroin use, meth use, that wasn't part of the culture I was with. There was some Oxycodone use, but that was prescription pills. It was a different kind of thing. The heroin and meth scene, and the people that... Yeah,
because you don't know who's cutting this stuff.
Yep.
You don't know who's playing with this, or they're adding stuff to it, right? I mean, this is the gamble. It's a big risk, right?
Yeah.
I have to say, there's a lot of places I guess you could hang as an addict, but man, summertime in Phoenix, we're living on the surface of the sun. What's it like to be strung out as a heroin user when we're hitting 120 out there?
Yeah, I became homeless when I was 18, living on the streets of Phoenix, and just walking all over the city, taking the bus, taking the light rail, using heroin every day, out in the sun.
Shoplifting.
Shoplifting to support my habit.
How long did that go on?
For almost a year and a half, shoplifting every day.
How good did you get at it?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was like it was almost like a business.
Okay, I want to stop you there. Here's what gets me. This is just Steve the taxpayer, right? Hey, this guy's so good. We have cameras. We have metal detectors. We have things all over the store. We got people watching people, right? We got people in the security upstairs yearly, right?
Yep.
And I've had people come through this show. They start their shoplifting and their thievery, and nobody gets caught, sometimes for years.
Right.
See, this is what blows my mind. All the security in the world, and we have people, a lot of people who are uneducated. You're somewhat educated, but these people are not, right? And they are thieves. I mean, really good thieves.
Yep.
So I'm always amazed that, you know, you now are scoring, you are now developing, I should say, you're developing an art. An art form here of robbery, right?
Yeah, yep. You would go around to all the different stores that that had items that you wanted to steal, and you wouldn't use the same store twice in one day or twice in 2 days. You would go to the different stores, and you would steal, and you'd get in and out. And if you have to take all the items in the bathroom to remove all the safety tags that are going to set off an alarm at the front door, then you have to do that, and you walk out, and then you figure out a way to sell it, and
who are you selling this to? The people that you know don't have money either. So
yeah, so it became, at first it was I would steal bottles of liquor, I'd steal expensive items from the store, and then I would go all over the place to steal them. I would go on Van Buren, and I'd go to a Church's Chicken drive-through window and sell it straight to the clerks, straight to the fast food workers through the drive-through.
Oh, you're selling jewelry to the Church's Chicken guy on the drive-through?
Alcohol, shampoo.
And they're okay with that?
Yeah.
Don't they know where this is coming from?
Some of them Didn't care.
They
And
didn't
they bought it anyways. Yep, because it was
Cash.
cheap. Cash, yeah.
Cash, no credit card.
No credit card.
No checks.
I didn't have that capability.
Okay.
Cash only.
Cash only, yeah.
Yep.
I'm just taken back by the percent of thieves, right? Now this is going to be interesting. Oregon just legalized everything right up there. We'll just see how that goes, right? But I'm always amazed that it's not just Jesse and a few guys shooting heroin. This now goes into now we're talking about great retail losses at stores.
Yeah.
Right? And everything went cash. So there's no way to collect revenue. There's no taxes on this. Everything goes off grid. Not much talk on our telephones. Not much things going on because we don't want anything to be tracked.
Right.
To me, that's the thing that now we have secondary and tertiary issues with drug addiction. Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about Jesse's story in the second part, and I wish I could tell you it's going to get better, but it's going to get way worse before we hit Holy Thursday when we talk about his conversion. When we come back from the break, we're going to do more on Jesse's story, and if you're hearing this and you're saying, hey, that's me, this guy's story is mine, this is your chance to wake up out of your oblivion and maybe let God interfere in your life. We'll be right back, right after the break.
Just go out to their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. You can't get to BFF on Friday.
Clothes or blankets on these. I couldn't believe it. These girls were carved up on their arms or legs, which is unreal. I've never seen anything like it.
Online. Just sign up today on BFF's website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. And don't forget to
terrible.
listen to BFF's weekly video podcast with Debbie G and Sharon. Their own life experiences and their biblical influence will overhaul your thinking, your identity, and your future. They'll keep you encouraged with some great insight and biblical truth. Just friend them on Facebook or go out to their website at beyondfeartofreedom.org. BFF. You might just discover a best friend forever.
Well, welcome back to 180. And if you haven't made your U-turn yet, I highly recommend that you turn around. Listen, the highway to hell's a 20-lane highway. Even if you make a small 10 or 12 degree, 15 degree turn, you're still on it. It has to be a 180-degree turnaround. Shock and awe to your system. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Conversion's tough if you're not willing to make the 180 turn. Listen, we're talking with Jesse. Jesse, I was thinking about the, your last name. Was that French or Dalla Riva?
Italian.
Italian? Dalla Riva? I thought when I first saw this name, we're not talking about the Dalai Lama. We're talking about the Dalla Riva, right? And it sounds so avant-garde, right? It's just cool. It's a very cool name, I have to say. And that's so that's one good thing for your dad, okay?
Yeah.
Give it to him. There you go, Dad. Thanks. Well, we're talking about your addiction, your thievery, robbery, and your complete disregard for your own health. Yeah. We're way past that. Mm-hmm. Never went to the doctor during this time? Ever hit the hospital on Medicaid?
Yeah, I went to there was no Medicaid back when I was on the street.
Oh my gosh.
For people that were homeless.
No access?
Not for single men.
Oh, wow.
No, they changed that rule later on and made it available for single men. I did go to the hospital, though, but not to get checked out because I had abscesses on my arm for shooting drugs that were becoming infected that needed to be cut open, drained, or I was going to be in some serious trouble.
That didn't wake you up?
Nope.
And you knew it was a problem?
Yeah, I knew all this was problematic, but I was so numb from the heroin use and that lifestyle, and it become such an identity for me that I couldn't imagine changing it at that point.
Couldn't it be safe to say you can't even have self-preservation or self-compassion?
Right. I didn't care about anything like that. I cared about using drugs. I cared about stealing to get high, which was like a full-time job, to support my addiction.
May I ask you, how much money are we spending a week for this?
I was spending probably $1,000 a week.
A week?
On heroin,
so you got to lift 48 to 50 grand
Yep.
every year just to meet your own need. This has nothing to do with food. This has nothing to do with shelter. We're just talking about the heroin habit.
Right. I didn't spend anything else on anything. I stole my food, and I bought heroin, and I lived on the streets, homeless.
How light did you become weight-wise?
Probably 130 pounds, something like that.
What are you today?
I'm 190 right now.
You're 190,
Yeah.
and you were 130.
Yep.
Man, you must have been a scarecrow.
Yeah. Yeah. I was rough looking, long hair. You know, I had all sorts of track marks all over me, abscesses. It became even worse, you know, when I began doing meth later on, and I was picking my face, and that was a whole nother dark place that I was in. But I was stealing from these stores, and at first I was selling them to you know, random people.
The drive-in through church.
Yeah.
I'm still back there.
But then it became more sophisticated, and I met someone from Mexico that owned beauty salons in Mexico, and he wanted women's makeup, and then I became stealing exclusively for this person, women's makeup from.
So you're like the Maybelline of the hooker,
Yeah.
the drug deal.
Yeah, and there was multiple people on the streets that I was affiliated with that was doing this for this individual.
Unbelievable.
And we would steal this. We would go in the store, and the $10 bottles of foundation. Just go in the store and just everything, put it in a backpack, and that's like that's hundreds of dollars at that point.
And nobody's figuring this out?
Eventually they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something about your dermatology remark about your face.
Yeah.
All right, is this a heroin reaction that your face is breaking out like that?
Yeah, it causes. I think it causes you to have like acne. You know, using opiates and
because you were young,
doing
you're a
drugs,
young guy still.
Right, living on the streets, my youth. You know, taking care of my skin poorly, and you know, being in the hot sun all day.
So you have to, and you're picking at it. Why are you doing that?
I started picking at my face because not only was I doing heroin at this point, but I was combining that with methamphetamine as well.
Okay, well, let's just say since I've always thought that heroin was the bigger of the two drugs, why are we dropping down to meth? Or we're not dropping down. We're actually they're both competing for my use.
Yeah, they were both competing for my use.
Okay, why did you go that way? Why did you even go down that road?
Sometimes when you don't have access to your heroin dealer, and meth becomes the only thing available.
Cheaper or more expensive?
It's about the same price.
About the same price.
Yeah, and you'll do that instead because it's effective as you know, heroin is as well.
Okay, so are you doing it in combination at the same time, but only as a substitute?
Sometimes in combination, sometimes as a substitute, sometimes not doing it.
Well, let me go to the combination thing. You know, now you're taking two highly effective drugs, and I'd like to have another word beyond euphoric because we're way past that. So, what's that like?
Yeah, it's the mix of an upper and downer, and it gets you really high. You know, it takes you into a whole nother dimension of darkness. Really, it's the best way to describe it.
And a new fantasy life.
Yeah.
I mean, some people experience some serious psychological dreams at night, the nightmares, things of that nature. Was that your?
Yes. When I was on meth and I had sleep deprivation because of it, I began to see things, to see people talking about me that wasn't really happening in reality. To see people to see police behind my back and, you know, doing things that it wasn't really happening, and staying up and seeing things out of the corner of my eye. All that was happening to me.
In your head.
Yeah. So it wasn't in real life. It was all in my
serious
head.
paranoia.
Yep.
Okay. And this is kind of like the drug version of my schizophrenia, right? I mean, you just start to get into this whole scene. When you're involved in this now, and you got yourself. What I find to be stunning is that you actually find a person to unload your cosmetics to. You got an already built-in distribution center.
Right.
Right. So you're heading. You got to go down to the border and.
No. Call the person. He comes and picks me up in his car. I sell all the stuff to him, and then he pays me, and he takes me right to my drug dealer's house. And that's a repeatable process right
And
there.
then he heads back down to his place.
And he ships it to wherever he ships it to.
So this is upstairs nefarious. Now we're international. You know,
Right.
you crossed over here.
Yeah.
It's not just Arizona now.
Right, right.
And now we're sending them. Well, of course, we're not sending them back dope. They're sending us their dope, but
Yeah.
we're sending them back cosmetics to make their heroin gals look better. I love stuff like that. It's just crazy. All right. I'm trying to think about, like today, and maybe you're like this today in the Lord. I like a good night's sleep. I like to go in the sack. I love it when it's a weekend. My wife puts on the nice clean sheets, smells the Downy in the background. I can crash so hard, it's unbelievable. I cannot imagine crashing beneath a bridge in the middle of the summer heat in Phoenix, in the shade, hoping the sun eventually goes down.
Yeah. It wasn't comfortable for me like that. I was on a mattress, pulled under a bridge, with a bunch of other homeless people. That's where we slept, and that's where we did drugs sometimes. And when it rained in monsoon season, the rain was coming down on us. We had a tarp with a bunch of holes in it that you put over like a boat to keep it from getting wet. That was our shelter at that point, because the rain was so hard that it would come in and we would get soaking wet. But I had one hope in all that, and one thing that gave me peace, and that was that in my mouth and rolled in a piece of tinfoil, I had some heroin for the morning, and that kept me going.
So even waking up after the monsoon just pummeled you,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and that your little tarp didn't do nothing.
Right.
It's you're waking up soaked. Your only comfort is your aluminum foil package.
Yep. I had that little bit of heroin for the morning, and as long as I had that,
You could make it.
I had peace. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not peace that passes understanding according to the book of Philippians, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
This is the peace that the world gives, and it's no peace at all.
Right.
This is where I get the exchange of how can I live a life of nightmare, right, and think I'm going to get any peace out of this? Well, I can say all this. We're way past logic. You can bring anybody in here. Jesse, would you agree?
Yeah.
I could be the most logical. I could show you all the guys in front of you 10 years from now. I could be in a youth detention saying, look at all these guys' arms and their lifestyle and everything else. What does that have to do with it? Could it do it? No. We're way beyond logic. And this is where the shrinks in the secular society, I don't think they get it.
Right.
And whether I see them in jail or I see them their numbers are really, from a success point of view, not very good. That's why, like places that you like, and we're going to get into where Jesse works and so forth, there's some higher success rates than the normal secular approach to this. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, now, I don't know about you, but man, I get cold easily. As I get older, I was like, man, now I'm wet, now I'm cold, and now you're heading into winter, right? And at least one of the guys that we had in here a couple weeks ago, he had a little tent with a little Coleman's cooking stove made out of gas, and I kept telling him, I said to him, did it ever cross your mind that you might have CO2 poisoning? And he goes, oh my gosh, no. Well, wow. Hey, nobody's venting the tent, So I'm always amazed at the sickness that causes us to completely denigrate ourselves and live for the next hit. That to me is demonic. That to me is way past our psychological ways of dealing with anything that we can do to help people like you were. Hey, don't forget to check out BFF on Friday night. It's at 5:30 to 6:15 for food, fellowship, and childcare is provided. They split the guys up, male and female. The messages are great. These are people who have been there, done that. Some of them just like Jesse's testimony. Some of them just like my testimony. I just exhort you all, if you're going through things, if this testimony relates to you, think about it and do it. And remember, no one's outside the reach of God. No, not one.